What is up, clean freaks and filthy friends alike? Filthy Dan coming at you for another film discussion, and today we're going to be taking a look at the adaptation of Stephen King's cycle of the werewolf, that is 1985's Silver Bullet. And my buddy Jason Knight is going to be doing a review of this over on his channel, so be sure to go and check that out if you haven't already. Let's sit back and enjoy Silver Bullet. So Silver Bullet stars Gary Busey before he became, Gary Busey, Corey Haim before he was a lost boy, and Everett McGill and Megan Follows. Silver Bullet was directed by Dan Attias, and the screenplay was written by Stephen King himself, which is really cool. So Silver Bullet tells the story of a series of murders that go more or less unsolved in a small town called Tarker's Mill, which is set in, of all places, Maine. There's no surprise there. Silver Bullet is an interesting werewolf movie because I don't know if people going into this film in 1985 knew it was a werewolf movie right off the bat, but I would imagine they probably did. But all the same, if you went into this movie totally blind, I don't know, you'd maybe get the idea that this is some kind of monster going around doing some slashing. I don't know, it's really tough to try and give it a blind perspective, because having seen this film so many times already, I know what is to be coming from the film, but it's set up in a very slasher way, especially in the first act. I mean, you have the guy walking on the railroad, gets fucking head cut off. The werewolf kills the lady who's about to commit suicide, kills the guy in the greenhouse, fucking kills the dude's kid, kills the 3 vigilantes in the little swampy woods, and it has a real nice slasher pacing at that point. But then it goes into Corey Haim trying to investigate his close encounter with the werewolf, where he shoots the werewolf's eye out. And Corey Haim's character kind of sends his sister out into town, where she's going to be kind of looking at everyone's face, and she's supposed to be looking for somebody with an eye injury, whether it's just an eye patch or just the eye's not there. Anything wrong with the eye, that's going to raise suspicion. And of all people, it turns out to be none other than the local reverend, who honestly was already kind of on the shady side anyway, especially when we start meeting him. He's like, one particular scene is right before the vigilante scene. He's telling all the bar attendees to not go out there and do anything. Just kind of, don't do it, it's not worth it, don't do it. And then his dream sequence where he's tending to their funeral and everybody starts turning into werewolves and attack him, and he wakes up and he's like, please let it end. It's like, by that point you already know it's him. I figure, like, again, that's another one that's kind of hard to go back and try and rethink what the first time watch feeling would have been like. I really don't know if I would have been able to suspect anybody except for the Reverend, but I mean, he's clearly the bad guy, and especially once they're like, okay, we're done playing the guessing game here, and you see him with the eye patch, and Janie goes into his garage and sees just a little bit of evidence out there to definitely point the finger at him. And he comes in with the eye patch and he's like, hey, are you scared? You shouldn't be scared. It's like, okay, creepy, and you are not helping take any suspicion off of the fact that you are the fucking werewolf here. But one thing I really like that this film does is it takes the norm of the werewolf mythology. Yes, the werewolf comes out at night, generally on a full moon, But here they don't have it to where it's only the full moon. Because he kills like a few nights in a row. But they realize that, no, maybe on the full moon he is at his strongest and most powerful. Less of the Reverend, more of the wolf. I really did enjoy that. That was a nice little twist on what we already know. Of course, they kept you needed a silver to kill the werewolf. Of course, the ending scene is going to be a bit intense. I felt the climax could have had a little more. I wish there was a little more in the climax as far as werewolf action goes. But that brings me to another point. The werewolf in this movie was utilized in a lot of ways like the shark from Jaws. As in, you don't really see him a whole lot. And when the werewolf, when you see the full werewolf, I can kind of understand why. It doesn't really look all that great. It was, it was a mediocre werewolf look, but, I mean, it could have been better, but, boy, it could have been a lot fucking worse, too. The detransformation scene, I'd say, was probably the weakest moment for the werewolf. Whenever, after they kill him and he starts to devolve back into the Reverend, that was just kind of, that was cool for what it was, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting tension in this film. In the first, second, and third act, you got great bits of tension. Of course, one particular tense scene that I really like is when the alcoholic father goes into his greenhouse and he's got his shotgun with the rock salt in it, and he knows there's something fucking around out there, so he's going out there, oh, put this rock salt in your ass, and he's walking around. There's seemingly nothing in the greenhouse, and he walks through the whole thing. Yeah, it could have been lit a little more dark, but I'd say it came out pretty well. I mean, it was definitely kind of edge of your seat. I do remember watching that scene for the first time, and just being so fucking on edge. And then when the werewolf fucking jumps through the floor and fucking pulls him under, that was a pretty cool scene. I think it was definitely saved by its atmosphere there. And the scene when the vigilantes go out to try and get him, that was pretty intense. I mean, I really liked the fog in there. It was another one of the scenes I really like, because it's these guys are gonna fucking die, and they're going out there and they're ready to bring justice to the town, but of course they fuck up. Of course, also whenever the girl is going around and interrogating everyone, you're just waiting to see the one with the fucking eye patch. It's I like the way they slowly start to reveal everybody's faces, because you got one guy who's coming around the corner of his house and is just kind of looking like that. That was nicely done. And at the fucking barbershop, you got the dude with the hot towel on his face, and she's like, this motherfucker's not going to show his face, so she just walks over there and undoes the hot towel, and she does it all under the pretense of, you got any cans of bottles? But, that was pretty insane. Also, the fucking scene where the Reverend knows that Marty knows, and also he's got it out for Marty after getting his fucking eye shot out. But he's chasing him in his fucking car, Marty's on his motorized wheelchair. He's just chasing him. That scene was fucking insane. And he slowly starts walking into the bridge that's kind of closed down, but there was just enough space for Marty to fucking crash his wheelchair in through there. But yeah, that was an intense scene. The acting in this film was pretty great too. I mean, you got Corey Haim playing Marty in the wheelchair, and his wheelchair is fucking awesome in this film. You think it's interesting at first. He's got the one with the little side handlebars, but it's these great motorized wheelchairs, right? The first one you think, oh, that's pretty cool, fucking easier way to get around. But then his second wheelchair is like, it's like his Uncle Red, played by Gary Busey, fucking throws that shit together and makes it like a motorcycle. That thing was just fucking awesome, but it's so fucking 80s, I don't know if that would really carry over too well into the 20s right now, but fucking if they did ever decide to remake this, I guess we would see. But anyway, the acting by Corey Haim is fucking pretty on point here, especially when you add the chemistry with Megan Follows, who plays his sister Jane. You definitely believe that they are brother and sister, just how they fucking bounce off of each other's actors. Of course, Gary Busey is Uncle Red, playing kind of the alcoholic uncle. I mean, I buy Gary Busey as an alcoholic uncle, but he's definitely got one of the funnest performances in here. He's got that fucking crazy look in his eye that we all know and love. But this is pre-motorcycle wreck Gary Busey, so he's still kind of normal looking. I know that's very fucked up to say, but like this is a great performance by Gary Busey also, and Everett McGill is the Reverend. I saw him as the bad guy in License to Kill, so when he shows up in this, you kind of get a feeling that, yeah, he's probably not going to be a good guy. He's just one of those actors with that kind of face that's like, yeah, there's something under the surface with this fucking guy. But his reason for killing everyone as the werewolf is very interesting. It's basically because they're all sinning in some way or another, and he's trying to absolve them of their sins by killing them so they don't kill themselves or some shit, especially in the case of the pregnant woman about to commit suicide. And that's another thing, like, all the characters who get killed off, like, you feel like every character was completely fleshed out, like, their whole life story from their birth until their demise in this film. You feel like Stephen King went in there and he fucking created the entire life of every character in this film, big or small. Like, of course, Marty being the prime focus character, him, his sister, and his uncle, yes, well developed. Everett McGill is the Reverend, well developed. But it's all the minor background characters. You feel like they all have a very intense development as characters that could be really explored. And it's one of those things, it's something you just expect when you're going into a Stephen King working. Like, there's going to be character moments, and this film is full of them. And again, everybody's fucking well acted. Bit parts, well acted. I can't really think of a shitty performance in this film off the top of my head. I mean, maybe the drunk dad, like, not being a bad performance, but just like, you could tell the guy is playing an angry alcoholic. But I mean, he plays it pretty well, especially whenever he goes to grab his shotgun to go outside. That was just like, are you fucking serious right now, my guy? Yeah, practical effects in this film are pretty well handled. Again, I already said that the werewolf was kind of middle of the road, but honestly, credit where it's due to anybody who could actually create werewolf prosthetics in a working werewolf suit. But also the kills that we do get to see, like the aftermath of, like, that was some pretty well done work on the special effects end of this film. Just wanted to give a quick shout out on that. Yeah, Uncle Red's denial stage, when Marty and Janie are telling him that, yeah, the Reverend is a werewolf, and he's just not going to believe them. He refuses to believe them because it's stupid. Who would believe that? There's no such things as werewolves and haunting a small town, you know? But he sees the little bit of paint off the Reverend's car, so he's like, okay, yeah, maybe I should take this a little serious. Reports it to the sheriff. The sheriff goes in to interrogate the Reverend, but gets fucking killed off. And that puts Gary Busey in a position where it's like, I don't know what to believe anymore right now. But he takes, like, Marty and Jane give him some of their silver jewelry, tell him melt it down and make a bullet. So he does, and that's a really great moment too. I feel like just that scene deserves a little bit of a video in and of itself. But he gets the silver bullet made, and he stays up with the kids overnight, waiting with his fucking revolver in his lap. And it's midnight, just a little after midnight, and he's like, you know what? There hasn't been no werewolf attack. I'm getting a really familiar feeling. Feeling like a horse's ass. It's like, oh, just wait, because I think at that point we already saw a little glimpse of the werewolf outside. The werewolf cuts the power, fucking breaks into the house. We have a pretty quick showdown with him against the werewolf. But eventually Marty shoots the werewolf right in the eye. Bing. And you see him fucking drop into the corner, and he starts reverting back to the Reverend. Again, that effect was kind of... I don't know, I guess that effect was actually pretty good for what it was in this film, but still. And you get a great character moment where him and his sister, after the Reverend's dead, are like, hey, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Except my legs don't work. I can't walk. But yeah, he's like, I love you, Janie. She's like, I love you too, Marty. And that reminds me of another thing that really helps in this movie, is there's a narration. And I don't know, I feel like the narration in this film, I always fucking forget it's in there, but like sometimes I get annoyed by films that have narration, but I think in the case of Silver Bullet, the narration, I think, benefits the film a little bit. It gives you the feeling of these events did happen. These events did happen somewhere. Like, you just kind of get that feeling, and it's a really interesting feeling, and, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that you feel like it might have actually happened just because there's a narrator. It adds a layer of authenticity almost, even if it is the most fucking out there story that it could possibly be. So let's move on to the filthy features. As always, we start with the favorite kill, and my favorite kill in Silver Bullet, this one, I'm thinking that this one is going to have to go to probably the drunk guy in the greenhouse. Yeah, this one's kind of ridiculous, but I really like the atmosphere and the setup to this kill, where he's out there and he's ready to shoot whatever animal or whatever kid is out there fucking around in his greenhouse, and gets pulled under, and there's a sharp end of the floorboard, and it just fucking goes right into his stomach. Like that, I just thought that was fucking insane, and the way it was set up to where it looked like it could have maybe been an accident, but, you know, it wasn't. And that was something I kind of thought too in this film, like, maybe he's trying to set them all up to look like accidents because the first kill, but no, he's just killing them off. But, like, that one, it felt like it almost could have been set up to be a drunken accident. But that one, that was probably the kill that really stands out the most. I mean, all the kills done by the wolf in this film are pretty insane. Like, even the one where Corey Haim's friend gets killed, it's off screen. We don't even really see his body discovered, but the acting performance by that kid's dad fucking sells that scene and makes that a real tight runner-up. As far as smutty sightings, there are none that I saw in Silver Bullet. So it's a sad day there. Anyway, Silver Bullet is a film that I really enjoy watching. It's probably one of the easier Stephen King films to go back and rewatch. Sometimes the adaptations of his work are a little rough. Sometimes they're pretty okay, like this one. Yeah, Silver Bullet's one I would definitely recommend you check out if you haven't already. It's a lot of fun to be had, and you get Corey Haim and Gary Busey, and that, come on, you can't say that that's not a good time waiting to happen right there. And it's probably one of the better werewolf movies out there. Yeah, because werewolves are always kind of hit or miss, but this is a good example of a fucking werewolf movie. And you get that little touch of this was done by the king himself, so, you know, it gives it some promise. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please be sure to like and share this video, and stab the fuck out of that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're feeling extra filthy, go ahead and leave a comment down below. What is your favorite non-slasher movie that does have a bit of a slasher rhythm to it? Let me know what y'all think. As always, stay filthy.